What would your response be? Because there are critics out there with regard to incentives, and that, and Tesla has been, and I can speak from experience, the beneficiary of incentives, economic incentives, with regard to the Gigafactory.
Sure.
What would you tell those people?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, as you know, those incentives were a little overstated. In the case of the Gigafactory, it's a $5 billion capital investment to get that factory going. And I didn't actually know this until, by the way, I didn't know this until we did the press conference. Actually, that over 20 years, the Nevada incentives added up to 1.3 billion. I actually didn't even know this. But it's,
now he's telling. Go ahead.
Literally, I learned it at the press conference. I'm like, really? No, but I mean, the thing is that they took what added up over 20 years and made it sound like Nevada was writing us a $1.3 billion check, and I'm still waiting for that check. Did it get lost in the mail? I don't know. But this is the way the press works, of course. If you divide 1.3 billion by 20, okay, then it's like, okay, Tesla's on average receives sort of a tax. It's basically sales and use tax abatement is what it amounts to. So Tesla gets like on the order, we get on the order of 50 to 60 million of sales and use tax abatement divided over 20 years. But this is for something which has a $5 billion capital cost just to get going, and then would have to generate about $100 billion over that period of time to achieve a $1.3 billion tax benefit. So essentially, it's a little over 1% over that period of time, and that's great, okay. But it's not, it's not like it's not the way it was characterized in the press. Because if put in the proper context, it sounds like, okay, well, that's neat, It's about 5% helpful on setting up the factory and about 1% helpful over the next 20 years. Cool. That actually sounds pretty reasonable. So that was helpful, but there are a lot of other factors as well. We actually had slightly bigger incentive packages from some other states that were offered, but we factored in how quickly could we get the Gigafactory into operation, what were the risks associated with that progress, what would be the logistics costs over time of transferring battery packs and powertrains to a vehicle factory in California. And all of those factors weighed together is what led us to make the decision in favor of Nevada. And working with your team was great. It was very forward-leaning. A big part was also just like making sure you feel really welcome, within the state. That's sort of what led us to make the decision for the Gigafactory. And then we have another factory in New York doing solar panels. Also, actually, will be the biggest solar panel producer in North America when it's done. And then we expect this to establish probably at least 2 or 3 more Gigafactories in the U.S. in the next several years, as well as a couple overseas. But the overall objective of Tesla is really what set of actions can we take to accelerate the advent of sustainable production and consumption of energy. I think the way I would assess the historic good of Tesla is in terms of how many years of acceleration was it, and if we can accelerate sustainable energy by 10 years, I would consider that to be a great success. even if it was only 5 years, that would still be pretty good. That's the overarching optimization.